Evening, morning, good afternoon, and welcome along to. So Dan is doing one of these by himself. What can this be about? Well, this one will be bite size. I think the last time I did one of these, it was about a half an hour long, and I think even I, even I started losing the will to live. Uh, Sort of listening back to a few minutes of it. So this one will be bite size, but I also think it's an optimistic one. It's more optimistic, I think, than I normally am online. I'm not going to say in general. I like to think I'm more of an optimistic person. Although probably everyone around me will go, "That's literally not true at all." Um, but I was on the gram earlier on, and I was scrolling through, and I saw a thumbnail of just a woman's face. Basically, she was lying on a carpet recording this video, and the thumbnails or the headline said, "Losing followers en masse," something like that. I can't remember. But her video was about the persona basically that you make online, the veneer that you create, the one that's supposed to attract people to you because you're seriously funny or really intelligent or just an all-round good guy. And whatever she was doing was obviously working for her because she had a few thousand followers. And she posted this one video and she lost a load of them. And what could have been so awful, Dan? I hear you ask. Well, she maintains that it was her messing with a hula hoop. Now, I never saw this video to know what messing with a hula hoop meant. Maybe it was some really wild shit that just people weren't ready for, even in an online space. But she maintained that this video was just a peek into her normal life, a peek into something that she enjoyed doing. And once people got a glimpse of this, they just started checking out and getting off her page. And what she was saying was, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? You know, she'd obviously gone through a point of being upset about it. I think online you generally would be. You've got all these followers and now you've posted something. You've lost a load of them. I think you start second guessing yourself. So I think she went through that period of being disappointed, but then she's doing this video where she's going, who gives a fuck? You know, she's had a moment of clarity and she's asking, why do followers matter? Now, I mean, if you're doing something online and you want it to be seen, your followers matter. But I think it's much like TK probably when I did my interview with him or had my podcast with him. He was saying it as well. It was all about what he was doing initially was all about followers. And it wasn't so much about obsessing over the content or even just being yourself. And I had said to her, I wrote a comment and I said, I don't think that there's much currency in being yourself nowadays. Not online anyway. I said, but I don't think there's much currency in being yourself. And I said, but like all great things, I said, it'll come back once people realise there's not enough of it. People being themselves. And I went on then, sort of thinking about that. Because where I am right now with trying to create the podcast and hit and miss about the blog, but trying to create the podcast and even with the writing and the filmmaking that I have coming up, I was thinking about how that relates to me. And I went back to a conversation then that myself and my girlfriend had, Emma, about 3 weeks ago. And we were out for a walk. And I said to her, what do you think is disappearing nowadays that'll come back at one stage in the future? And she said community. And I was like, well, goddamn, that was a great answer. Because I do believe community is disappearing. People might disagree, but my attitude is, and by the by, I am still working up to something positive here. My attitude is that social media, here he is with the fucking social media again. is driving everyone apart. I think there's a lot more interest in yourself, basically, with social media and even the internet, the availability of it on your phone. You'll see people walking down the street, and I come from a small little town here, a small enough little town, where years ago, here he's going back to the years ago, you walk by people, you nod hello to each other. It's a small enough town. And that was something that we did here, you know. I make this sound like Butte. I think Butte is Montana, isn't it? America, where it's just like a tiny town of 4 people in it. But we said hello to each other here. And that was such a thing that I remember I went to Edinburgh. And I would do that to everyone I walked by in the street. I was like this small little kid from a town that had finally got to the big city, and I was like, hey, how you doing? And everyone just walked by me. And my cousin at the time said to me, because I obsessively was saying hello to everyone, he was like, Dan, they don't do that here. I was like, what do you mean they don't do that here? It's saying hello to somebody. What do you mean they don't do that here? He was like, they don't do that here. And they don't do that there. But I notice now, I could walk through the town and you'll notice that anyone of a certain age, will say 20 or younger, or maybe even 25 or younger, you can almost tell that if they're walking and they have a phone in their hand as they're approaching, that they're not going to lift their head and say hello. They'll literally breeze by, and I'm noticing that an awful lot more. And I think that kind of sucks, to be honest with you. But anyway, still working to something positive. And I started thinking about, actually, do you know what? The comment that I made to that girl is kind of true. That things come back. If they were big or they were cool or they were just nice things to have, they come back eventually. I was thinking that about the vinyl. That the vinyl record player was the one thing I thought of that proved my whole argument. You know, well, the vinyl record player came back, so obviously this is fact. And I don't know how the vinyl record player made its way back into the market, but I imagine it was just one guy who was such a fan. He opened up a corner shop and he shows off all of the record players and the vinyls that he has, and someone comes in and goes, do you know, I like that. I've always liked that. The vinyl, the record player, I'm going to have one of them. They take it home and somebody else takes a look and they want one. And they go and get one. And all of a sudden the vinyl record player goes from being extinct to now everyone wants one. And like even you now, even me, I would take a vinyl record. I don't have one. But I would take one only because of the fact that I know it was big at a period of time. And they're making a comeback, and they would actually, I do like them. They would be kind of cool to have. So I'd get one. I imagine that's what it'd be like in the future with things like respect and integrity and, being friendly and getting on. Like this, just some guy opens up a corner shop full of all these different traits that you can have. And he's like, yeah, over there. Yeah, we've got respect on sale for $9.99. What do you think? Respect. What is? Explain respect. What's respect? And he's like, you don't know about? Let me tell you about respect. Back in my day, and then all of a sudden, respect goes on sale. Some guy's walking around with a pocket full of respect for people, just being really great. And they're like, what is that? And they're like, it's respect. I bought it. $9.99. And they're like, where'd you get it? You know, and it's in Gregory's down the road. And all of a sudden, people are like, you know what? Respect is something I've been missing in my life. And so has connection, and so has empathy. I'm gonna go down to Gregory's there and see if I can buy some. And that's how, at some point in the future, they all come back. And that might be a bit over the top, but that is my way of that's how I imagine it makes its way back into, society again, is it starts very small. In a society full of beige, featureless people who do not say anything remotely insulting. They do not say anything that could be taken in any way negatively. there's one guy who's like, I've got this crazy fucking idea, and all of a sudden people are back on board with it. But it starts off in one tiny little pocket of a place, and then gradually it becomes the done thing for everyone. Anyway, so with all that being said, I do believe that all of the things that you might look around and go, oh, it was better 20 years ago, it was better 10 years ago, those things are going to come back. Some of them, the really good stuff, will make its way back. But I definitely think that for things that connect each of us, for all of this talk about there being a VR future and whatever else, that stuff can only last for so long before people just go, this is absolute crap. Get me back to the old days. And I mean, it's in every movie you'll ever see, any dystopian movie or any movie based in the future, you will always see anything that is not 12s. You'll always see that there's these underground barbarians who refuse to move on from the old ways. And there's this above ground future society that's just beige and boring and does nothing for you. The hero in those movies never comes from the future city above ground where it's beige and boring and goes in and conquers the sewers. It's the opposite. It's the guy or the girl underground who's coming up, and they're fighting for character. They're fighting for an actual proper life. This has gone way, way beyond what I was intending. Anyway, it's all going to be good. Thanks for listening. Have a smashing evening. And this will probably be the last you ever hear of me. So speak to you again. Bye-bye.